the funniest man on television in 1969, the happiest picker in America, the sweetest grandmother on the Grand Ole Opry. But when the cameras stopped, their real lives went places nobody could have scripted. An orphanage, a jail cell, a murder in the night, a comeback even Nashville didn't see coming. 57 years later, this is where they all ended up. 1. Roy Clark, CO host. Roy Clark, who co-hosted HEE HAW as the grinning, guitar-slinging half of country television's most beloved double act. The man whose fingers did things on a guitar neck that made classically trained players stop and stare. He was 36 years old when the show premiered. Born Roy Linwood Clark on April 15, 1933, in Meherrin, Virginia, he grew up in a Washington, D.C. housing project, raised on the picking of his father, a semi-professional musician who put an instrument in his hands early. By 14, Roy was playing square dances beside his dad, practicing until his hands bled. That obsession turned him into one of the most versatile instrumentalists America has ever produced. And by 1960, it had landed him on the Las Vegas band scene, paying serious dues. On HEE HAW, Clark supplied the dazzle. Quick gags with Buck, then instrumental breaks that belonged on a concert stage. What most viewers never knew was how long the road had been. Before the cornfield, he had spent years as one of Nashville's best-kept secrets, backing touring stars and grinding through casino gigs. His 1973 single Come Live With Me hit #1, and in 2009 he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Proof that the kid from the housing project had outpicked them all. In private, Clark was the opposite of the flashy stage act. Married to Barbara Rupert from 1957, devoted for 61 years, and famously humble, a man who gave back to Tulsa, the city he called home. Roy Clark died on November 15, 2018, at the age of 85, from complications of pneumonia, at home in Tulsa, with the woman he had loved for 6 decades beside him. On screen, he picked and grinned for 2 decades. In real life, he spent a lifetime making the hardest music on earth look effortless, and he left the room a Hall of Famer. 2. Lulu Roman, singer and comedian. Lulu Roman, one of the show's big-hearted lead singers. The woman with the enormous voice, the joyful laugh, and a story so painful that when she finally told it, she broke down in front of millions. She was just 23 when HEE HAW premiered. Born Bertha Louise Habel on May 6, 1946 in Dallas, Texas, Lulu grew up inside the Buckner Children's Home, an orphanage. Because of a thyroid condition that affected her weight, no family ever adopted her. In her own words, they didn't adopt fat kids. She aged out at 18 with nothing but a voice that could fill a cathedral. On HEE HAW, she sang and traded jokes with the regulars, beloved as the girl next door with gospel-sized pipes. But here's the part most viewers never knew. During those early seasons, Lulu was quietly battling a drug addiction, and in 1971 she was arrested on drug charges. It cost her the show for several seasons. A fall from the dream she had fought her entire life to reach. Then came the turn that defined everything after it. In 1973, Lulu became a Christian, and her life rerouted completely. She returned to HEE HAW, rebuilt herself as a Southern gospel singer, recorded and toured for more than 40 years, wrote her autobiography, and spent the rest of her life telling the story of the orphan nobody wanted. Lulu Roman died on April 23, 2025, of heart failure, at 78, among the very last of the show's original stars. The girl the orphanage gave up on ended up loved across America, and by the end, she knew exactly who she was, somebody's family. 3. Buck Owens, CO host. Buck Owens, the other half of that famous double act. The sharp-dressed, red, white, and blue guitar man who made HEE HAW feel like a Saturday night porch visit, and who walked away from the biggest show in country music while it was still on top. He was 39 when it premiered. Born Alvis Edgar Owens, Jr. on August 12, 1929 in Sherman, Texas, to a sharecropping family, Buck came of age during the Dust Bowl years, moving west and eventually planting his flag in Bakersfield, California. There he built the raw, electric sound that made him a giant, 21 #1 hits, among them Act Naturally, the song the Beatles would later turn into a worldwide smash. On HEE HAW, he was the sly-grinning straight man who kept the fun rolling. But here's the part most people forgot. When syndication turned the show into a money machine, Buck wanted out of the grind. And in 1986 he quit, pouring himself into his Bakersfield dream, the Crystal Palace, a gleaming music hall built to honor the sound he'd invented. Then came the moment nobody expected. In 1988, At 59, he duetted with Dwight Yoakam on Streets of Bakersfield and hit #1 again, his first in 16 years, proof he had never really left. Buck Owens died on March 25, 2006 at 76 of heart failure in his sleep at his ranch, just hours after performing one last time at the Crystal Palace, the stage he built in a town he loved. The Dust Bowl kid who invented a city's sound went out exactly the way he lived. Guitar in hand, crowd on its feet. 4. Junior Samples, comedian. Junior Samples, whose used car salesman sketches made him one of the most quoted men in America. The drawling Georgian who sold phantom cars from a fake lot and could make a two-word sentence funnier than most comedians' monologues. He was 43 when HEE HAW debuted. Born Alvin Samples, Jr., on April 10, 1926, in Cumming, Georgia, Jr. spent his first 4 decades as a farmer, carpenter, and demolition derby driver, until a fish story changed everything. After he hauled in a record-setting catch, the state recorded his telling of the tale. The tape went out over the radio, and America fell in love with that voice. By 1969, he was on HEE HAW, and week after week he stood in a cornfield scene holding a sign that read, simply, BR 549. That gag became a genuine cultural institution. To this day, BR 549 remains the most famous fake phone number in country comedy. At his peak, Jr. carried close to 400 pounds, a big part of his charm. He seemed to have wandered in from the real Georgia countryside because he had. What most fans didn't know was how much the farm still owned him. Between tapings, Jr. went home to Cumming every chance he got, never cutting his roots loose. He died on November 13, 1983, of a heart attack, at just 57, right in the middle of the show's run. Jr. spent his final years telling strangers to call BR 549, and the joke outlived him. The heart attack took him far too young, in the loudest chapter of his life. But that phone number still rings in American memory. Before we get to the rest of the cast, which HEE HAW memory comes back to you first? Buck and Roy cracking up mid-song? Jr. hollering about BR 549 from the cornfield? Minnie Pearl's big howdy? Or String Bean shuffling across the set in his long johns? Drop your favorite in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this trip back to Cornfield County, take a second to subscribe. We bring you a new story like this every week. 5. Minnie Pearl, Sarah Cannon. Minnie Pearl, the beloved character with the straw hat and the $1.98 price tag. The sweetest soul on the show, and the woman behind her, Sarah Cannon, whose real second act played out in a hospital that still carries her name. She was 56 when HEE HAW premiered. Born Sarah Ophelia Colley on October 25, 1912, in Centerville, Tennessee, she created Minnie Pearl as a young theater professional, modeling the character on the talkative small-town women she had met on the road. Minnie's "Howdy, I'm just so proud to be here" became one of the most recognized greetings in America, and by the time HEE HAW arrived, she was already a Grand Ole Opry legend. On HEE HAW, she was the wise, warm heart of the cornfield community, the woman everybody trusted. But here's the part millions never knew. In the 1980s, Cannon was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought back aggressively, beat it, and turned her fame into purpose, becoming one of country music's most visible voices for cancer care, a cause that eventually carried her real name into a hospital and a foundation that still helps patients today. Then, in June 1991, a severe stroke ended her performing career for good. The microphone fell silent for the woman who had spent 50 years talking to America. She spent her final years in a Nashville nursing home, visited by stars who never forgot her, and died on March 4, 1996, at 83, of complications from another stroke. Her husband Henry, her partner since 1947, followed her 18 months later. Minnie Pearl sold laughter with a price tag pinned to her hat. Sarah Cannon gave her real name to a fight that is still saving lives. 6. Grandpa Jones, Louis Marshall Jones. Grandpa Jones, the old-time banjo man who made Wrinkles a comedy prop, and who stayed young enough to work until the very night he fell. He was 55 when HEE HAW premiered. Born Louis Marshall Jones on October 20, 1913, in Niagara, Kentucky, and raised in Akron, Ohio, he fell in love with the banjo as a boy and built a geezer persona so convincing that audiences figured he was 100 years old. In 1946, he joined the Grand Ole Opry. The same year, he married Ramona Riggins, his partner for 52 years on and off the stage. On HEE HAW, he was the living link to old-time mountain music, the grandfather every viewer wished they had. In real life, the joke was on us. The man who played Ancient was famously healthy, relentlessly hardworking, and devoted to Ramona. Then came one of the great final chapters in country entertainment. In January 1998, at 84, Grandpa walked off the Opry stage after performing his second show of the night and suffered a stroke. He died on February 19, 1998, at 84, still a working member of the Opry he had called home for more than half a century. Grandpa Jones spent a lifetime pretending to be old. He was doing the job he loved almost to his final breath. And there isn't a banjo picker alive who wouldn't trade places. 7. String Bean, David Aikman. String Bean, the lanky, banjo-picking comic in the long johns and the giant grin. The gentlest man on the show, whose final night became the darkest chapter in country music history. He was 53 when HEE HAW premiered. Born David Aikman on June 17, 1915, in Annville, Kentucky, he earned his nickname honestly, rail-thin, small town, and shy. He paid his dues as a banjo man with Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Boys before landing at the Grand Ole Opry, where he was as famous for his little nightshirt outfit as for his picking. On HEE HAW, he was the resident oddball, the man who seemed to have wandered down from a mountain cabin, which in a way he had. He and his wife Estelle lived quietly in a remote house near Ridgetop, Tennessee, and around Nashville it was whispered that the frugal couple kept their money at home, in cash. Then came the night that stunned the country. On November 10, 1973, String Bean returned home from the Grand Ole Opry, and he and Estelle were ambushed and shot to death in their own cabin. Killed in a burglary by two young cousins who had heard the cash rumor. String Bean was 58. Estelle was 59. The killers were caught, convicted, and sent to prison, but the shock never fully faded. The sweetest, most harmless man in country music, and his wife, gone in one violent night. String Bean spent his whole career being the weakest, funniest figure in the room. In the end, he was just a man protecting his home, and the whole country mourned the little cabin on the hill. 8. Misty Rowe, HEE HAW Honey. Misty Rowe, the squeaky-voiced blonde who became the most famous of the HEE HAW honeys, and the one face from this era of the show still regularly in front of the camera today. She was still a teenager when the show began, and just 20 when she joined the cast in 1972. Born Mistella Rowe on June 1, 1952, in Glendora, California. She grew up a short drive from Hollywood and started as a dancer before her helium voice charm made her a HEE HAW staple for 19 years, singing her way through the show's famous Gossip Girl sketches. But what most fans never realized was how much range hid behind the perky persona. She earned a regular spot on Happy Days, became the first actress ever to portray Marilyn Monroe on screen, and built a career that has now outlasted nearly every show she ever appeared on. Today, at 74, Misty Rowe is among the last surviving faces of HEE HAW's golden years, still acting and still honoring the friends she has lost, including Lulu Roman, gone in 2025, in interviews and reunions where she is often the only honey left to tell the stories. The honeys were cast to be charming background music. Misty Rowe turned out to be the one who stayed, the living memory of Cornfield County, still smiling for all of them. When CBS canceled HEE HAW in 1971 after just 2 seasons, it looked like a joke that had finally run its course. Instead, the show came back in syndication and kept taping for another quarter of a century, more than 581-hour episodes, ending only in 1997, nearly 30 years after that first summer night in 1969. The people who made it are mostly gone now. Buck left us in his sleep at 76, hours after his last show. Roy went at 85, his guitar finally quiet. Lulu, the orphan who found family on television, passed in 2025. Junior's big heart gave out at 57. Minnie's stroke took her from the stage in 1991, and she was gone 5 years later. Grandpa worked until the night he fell at the Opry, and String Bean and Estelle were murdered in their cabin in 1973, a tragedy that still shocks. The one still out there, holding the memory for all of them, is Misty Rowe, the honey who never stopped. Cornfield County was never a real place, but the people who lived there were as real as it gets, and for millions of us, they always will be.